Hello, Savannah. Can you hear me, Dr. Jackson?
I certainly can. Miss Gibson
Hello.
Carter, it's certainly a pleasure to be on your show tonight.
Yes, yes. I am so pleased to welcome you to spend some time with our guest on Kandily Kesha here tonight. Listen, I've had you on two times already, and I got from you everything I needed, but I did not give you the opportunity to talk about Leicester for Labor. Today was a huge day for you. You made your official announcement at our state capitol, and we're really excited for you and this new venture that you are jumping into. So tell us about your platform. Tell us about what led you to leave your Senate seat, or what's leading you to leave your Senate seat, and what can we expect from Senator Jackson as our labor commissioner?
Well, first of all, today was my official announcement that I'm running for labor commissioner. I had a huge crowd of elected officials, ministers, civic leaders, social leaders, and family members, and just so many friends that gathered at the state capitol to not only wish me good tidings for my run for labor commissioner, but also was excited about the vision for Georgia and where we're headed. I decided to make this transition from my Senate office to labor office because of one primary reason. We needed accountability in the labor office. The people of Georgia need access to the labor department. We have just been a part of such a grueling uh, past four for the past 2 years, a grueling COVID season where many of us was locked up, many of us lost our jobs, many of us were on unemployment, but failed to get access to the labor department for our benefits that are so rightly ours. Still today, as you look across Georgia, many labor offices are still closed. People don't have access to the labor office. The labor office is not accessible to us. And I'm gonna tell you this: for the past 16 years, the labor department has been doing things to Georgia instead of doing things for Georgia.
Mm.
We have have access, that we have job opportunities, and we have quick, speedy claims for benefits. So today was a huge day. It will be a great transition after 20 years in the Georgia State Senate, in the Georgia State Senate and the House of Representatives. Uh, we did a magnificent job serving the people of Chatham County as the people of Georgia. So I'm excited about this transition, but more importantly, I'm excited about the move that we're going to give more Georgians access to better opportunities in the labor department.
And so we know that a big part of your job, in addition to administering the state's unemployment
Ms.
program, hello?
Now I can't hear you, Ms. Carter, but it is my pleasure that that I serve the people of Chatham County, and and I tell you, I think there's going to be some great uh, politicians to replace me. There are some great candidates that are seeking this office as state senator, but more importantly, I think this is a transition of younger leadership in Chatham County, new leadership in Chatham County. Although I'm still going to be around serving this great state, uh, and with your help as labor commissioner. But more importantly, we're going to move this entire state forward. We're going to have more job access for Georgians. We're going to have more benefits. We're going to make we're going to make the labor department fit more into the 21st century when it comes to new technology. And we're going to have an office that's run not only by Georgians, but run for Georgians.
Mhm.
And I
I
can't hear
like
you,
that.
Miss Gibson Carter, right now.
Can you hear me now? Producer, can you hear me? Can my audience hear me? If you all can hear me, send me a message in the chat. Okay. Dr. Jackson, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Hear me now?
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, Dr. Jackson? Can you hear me? No? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I
Oh
can't hear you.
boy.
Testing, testing.
Okay, they
Go
want you
out
to
and
go
come back
out.
in. Got it.
Yes, 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 yes. Let's see here. Okay, people, stick with us a little bit until Dr. Jackson gets back in. I do want to let everyone know that we have a city council meeting coming up on this Thursday. So we want each of you to tune in and pay attention. But more than that, we want you to go online and go to the City of Savannah's website, click on the clerk's office tab, and then go to our agenda for the week. And there you will see a number of items that we will be voting on for this coming, for the meeting that's coming up. And during the workshop, we have been advocating for priority. I'm most interested because we've seen some interesting uh, pieces play out with regard to what streets get paved and what communities get sidewalks. And so on the agenda, we are not talking about those priorities. Instead, we have a very important item that's coming up on the next agenda, which is to hear from the police department, our public safety update. There was an attempt to provide that information last meeting. During the last meeting, the chief, for whatever reason, was selected to go last. And so, of all of the crime and criminal element we have going on in the city, you would think that he would have been first. Nonetheless, we are um, in position to carry your questions and your concerns to City Hall and present them to the chief of police and see what he and our city manager intend to do about it. In addition, we will get a Housing Savannah update. with regard to the city's investment in affordable housing at work. Again, while we talk a lot about affordable housing, we know that it's few and far between with regard to the options that are available to citizens, everyday working people. Before long, the city of Savannah will no longer be home to working class people. And so, while we talk a lot about affordable housing, until we can do something about the average wage that people are earning in this city, we need to be looking more toward income based housing related to individuals earning. Senator Jackson, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, so listen, what we want to acknowledge is the purpose of the Labor Department. I was going to say earlier, we know a lot of what your work and responsibility will be in terms of administering our unemployment insurance program, but you also are responsible for market analysis of our workforce here in Georgia, in addition to making sure that we have the necessary rehab programs for citizens who may be lacking employable skills or who are looking to increase and uh, their employable skills, as well as making certain that our labor regulations are where our citizens who work here in Georgia are protected. And so, as you approach the office, what is it that makes you different or better suited for this job than folks who are currently in the field and the person who's currently in the job?
Well, that's an excellent question, Ms. Carter. Well, the first thing is I've been well trained and well positioned to take on an office such as this. I have a vast background that really has prepared me to become your next labor commissioner. First, I'm a Navy veteran. Spent 7 years serving proudly in the United States Navy. Served during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So
Mm.
I understand. So I understand the veterans' issues and dealing with veterans, and what veterans mean to our country and to our great state. Second, I'm a small business owner. I'm a healthcare professional, but a small business owner who know about small business, who know about writing paychecks and meeting payroll, and
Hmm.
the interesting and the specific things about running a small business and making sure it works not only for your employees, but how it works for your customers and your patients, but also my legislative experience. I spent more than 20 plus years in the Georgia General Assembly, been chairman of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, legislator of the year on behalf of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus for 3 years,
Mm.
freshman legislator of the year, awarded by the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. Um, um, I'm chairman of urban development. I've been chairman of urban uh, urban development committee for the state senate in a Republican controlled House and a Republican controlled Senate. I am one of two African American legislators that are Democrats that hold a chairmanship, and that shows that my respect on both sides of the aisle. But last but not least, my leadership and legislation that I have successfully
Oh, goodness. He was on the roll. um, I believe he was probably going to talk about his experience and his tenure as senator for over 2 decades and how that makes him well suited to move into this position of labor commissioner. So if he comes back in, we'll give him the opportunity to continue to talk about that. But one of the things I was going to talk to Senator Jackson about as well is this failure of the hotel motel tax. You all probably heard a lot of jockeying, if you will, in terms of the mayor advocating for support to increase the hotel motel tax from 6% to 8%, recognizing that that additional 2% would yield over $65 million that will, in essence, come to Savannah. But in coming to Savannah, it would not go to Savannahans. And with that, I mean that additional resource would be dedicated to what we call a tourism product, meaning increases to whatever infrastructure to River Street, creating or finishing the trail. In addition, helping to create this outlet that would extend and connect the arena to the downtown corridors via this canal district. And so while we bask and relish in welcoming opportunity for growth of Savannah, particularly the growth that would help us better serve our citizens. When we are looking at inequity as we make those quests, we have to push the pause button and say, where is the heartbeat in this work? And because we, again, for the second year in a row, did not see a heartbeat in the work, we were not inclined to support it. And so we are grateful for the efforts of Dr. Jackson, Senator Lester Jackson, who essentially was in position to yield to what our desires were. However, ultimately, it wasn't just myself, Alderwoman Lanier, and Alderwoman Blakely who were opposed to this. There were members of the delegation, primarily the Republican members, who were not inclined to support this. And so while individuals may have a lot to say about what our position and what our support or lack of support was or is, we cannot negate the fact that it was not solely our decision. Nonetheless, we were in position to fully support this effort if we indeed or in fact saw any evidence of there being some meaningful and tangible support for those individuals who work within our hospitality industry. Right now, a number of Savannahans work within the hospitality industry making less than $13 an hour, barely $13 an hour. That is unacceptable for full-grown men and women who are heads of households to work at that wage, then to be expected to pay market rent, which is increasing daily here in Savannah, as well as take care of their children, put food on the table, and pay their utilities. And so, unless and until we can try to figure out how we can maneuver and negotiate and create those community benefits for our service workers who undergird the service industry that we call tourism here in Savannah, we will continue to advocate for that equity, which would yield a better result for us all. And so, again, we want you to go online to our City of Savannah's website and take a look at our agenda. As I've stated, for the workshop, which will begin at 11 o'clock a.m., you can tune into our city council meeting and workshop via our Facebook page, via government television, as well as YouTube. We want to continuously encourage our citizens not to solely, or I would venture to say, don't look to our local media for your news. Because where city council is concerned, there is a deliberate intent to only frame the narrative that the establishment wants the public to believe. And when that is the case, you are left only with uh, they want you to know or what they want you to hear. Right now, our local media affiliates are not even reporting on the number of crime uh, via gun violence that results in homicide in our city. I've never seen anything like it. It's like it's a deliberate cover up from the top, from the Gold Dome all the way to the executive boardrooms of these media affiliates. And so we want to caution you as you continuously see these pieces rolling out from City Hall. We don't know what the housing update will be in its totality, but we do know what our expectation is with regard to what we deem as affordable housing. What I no longer want to see is our local government partnering with developers who would apply for federal subsidies to build units in our city, only in exchange for a 20-year investment. And then after that 20 years, those properties revert back to market rates. And that's what we see with Chatham Apartments. That's what we see now happening with Clearview. And so when we are continuously engaging and entering into these contractual relationships with developers without any long-term investment into the community, because we know that 20 years flies by like that in the blink of an eye. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to maintain a longer term relationship when it comes to establishing affordable housing in our city. Dr. Jackson, one of the things you were saying or offering us was information related to your time and tenure in the Senate, thereby making you qualified for an easy and seamless transition to labor commissioner.
Well, and not only a seamless transition, but coming in with leadership and the ability to move this labor department to the next level. We have find employees in the labor department. What happened is they lack leadership. And is leadership, guidance, and the need for it's accessible to all Georgians. The need to do fast and speedy claims to all Georgians, and to look at job opportunities. What happens is the labor department currently has 1,800 employees. We really need to increase that back to uh, the pre-Republican era, 2,500 employees, so that we can talk about job training. Uh, we no longer need to be talking about getting people ready to do a job. We need to be about the
There's some technical difficulties still going on apparently with Dr. Jackson. So let's just go through the agenda. Some of the highlights that I saw on the agenda for this particular meeting. One in particular was a $76,000 allocation for Porta Johns for St. Patrick's Day. And so I know I've been working a lot with Little League
here we go.
Football coaches. And I'm hoping that we can now get some of those Porta Johns. If we can invest $76,000 and $76,992 to be exact, for Porta Johns for St. Patrick's Day, surely we can invest a fraction of that for our Little League teams. And so, again, what we want to continuously let you know, we are advocating for equity, balance, and fairness when it comes to the coffers of the city of Savannah. We recognize that every time there is a need when it comes to big business or someone who has an established legacy relationship with the city, it happens just like that with a stroke of a pen. But when we have individuals from our small and marginalized communities seeking not for a hand up, only to return to them what is rightfully theirs via their tax dollars, we have to go through all of these shifts and changes just to make moderate movement. And so today, I'm certainly grateful for the support that our city manager has given to area recreation, and it's never been done in the history of the city of Savannah. But it's too little, too late, and what we have is still not enough. So we have to continue to press. And my position is to move very aggressively and to continue to go forth with an enormous amount of vigor as we advocate for these pieces for our vulnerable communities. Senator Jackson, you want to see how much more you can get in there?
Yes, I do, but as we talk about movement toward the city manager looking at Little League sports, we need better football fields for our Little League kids, and we need more access to football fields. What I would like to see, Alderman Carter, is to use those soccer fields for youth football also. You know, I think it's asinine that we have fantastic soccer fields in Savannah, Georgia, but just across the street, we have young little boys playing in mud, or playing in mud, or playing football in clay. So I would like to give them the opportunities to be able to play on those nice, crisp grass football fields, soccer fields, and have a mixed use fields in Savannah, Georgia. At some point in the program, I want to talk about this hotel motel tax and what it means to the people of Savannah. what it means to people of not only Chatham County, but what it does when we talk about entrepreneurship for this whole area, and what it does when it talk about economic inclusion for this whole area. When we talk about this hotel motel tax that's been proposed right now at the state capitol. I'm
So
talking too
with
much. I'm gonna
regard
be quiet now.
with regard to the hotel motel tax, and I wanted to make sure that I gave you an opportunity to get everything out about your bid for labor commissioner. If you want to have someone from your team put in the chat information on how we can find out more about your platform, information on how to support your efforts, on how to give. Um, I have a dear cousin who served with you for a number of years, Representative Al Williams, who told me as I set my course to run for public office for the first time, he says, it takes coal to run a campaign, but it takes it takes coal to run a train, but it takes gold to run a campaign. I think I have that right. So
Right.
we know that you. So we know that you are running in a huge race. How many people are in the race to date?
Well. There's only one that qualified today. I suspect that there are going to be three Republicans that qualify, uh, uh, and there's one other Democrat that qualified today. But this
Hmm.
race isn't about me. This race is really about Georgia moving into a new vision for all its people.
Hmm.
This race is about access for benefits to all Georgians, and this race is about job opportunities, whether it's retraining for job skills or enhancing economic development for entrepreneurships, and this race is about accessibility to the people of this great state. So what we're asking is everybody get on board. We're moving
Right.
Georgia, and I know what people are saying that it is very difficult to run a statewide race from Savannah, Georgia. But let me tell you, 10% of the people that's going to vote in this race come from Chatham County and Effingham County. That's
Mm.
10%, and that's a huge number. But that's a huge number, and I want to let you know that I have not only put in my time, but I am well qualified. The people of Chatham County has got me ready to take on new heights and new direction. I will have the same vigor, the same zest for excellence, and the same zest to make government accessible to all its people. So I'm excited about this race. I'm excited about Georgia's future, and if you want to learn more, LesterForLabor.com. LesterForLabor.com to find out more about the campaign and how we're moving Georgia forward.
Well, we are certainly excited for you. We are proud of you, and you're right. You have paid your dues, and your record can surely speak for itself. I just started following politics closely when I entered the race, and I know that we have had our debates and our disagreements, but I appreciate the fact that you have always fostered a way where we can agree to disagree, treat each other professionally, move on, and go on to the next thing. And so, one thing I can surely say about you, Dr. Jackson, you are a great communicator and you are a man's man. You don't mind standing up to whatever the challenge or resistance is. And so, we appreciate you for that. More specifically, I appreciate you for the dedication you have or the commitment you gave. To the minorities on council. And by minority, I don't mean African American or women, minority in our vote, and that's myself, Alderwoman Blakely, and Alderwoman Lanier, and that we were strongly opposed to the hotel motel tax. But in its totality, ultimately, it didn't merely fail because of us. There were detractors from the Republican delegation as well, which caused it just not to even see the light of day. And while our mayor went on this parade of sorts of campaigning and offering strong critique and ridicule toward the delegation for not supporting it, we know that because of the lack of equity, the lack of collaboration among our council colleagues, I've had more conversations with you just in my 2 or 3 Zooms than I have actually had with the mayor or any of my other council mates. And that's very disheartening for something that's important. We know we were looking at an additional $65 million, not one time, but $65 million annually via this additional 2%. And there was little to no demonstration of what that would mean to the most vulnerable among us. And we were asking for a meager $7.5 million to pour back into the people who undergird and who the tourism industry essentially rests on the backs of. And the people were just not very compassionate. And I want you to just give me, in closing, your take and your spin on why you did not see fit for this the hotel motel tax to see the light of day.
Well, I will tell you this: it was easy to pass the hotel motel tax had had the powers that be was willing to compromise and give some of that money, less than 10%, to a disenfranchised people. You got to remember, when you look at the economic boom of the tourist industry of Savannah, Georgia, it's on the backs of cooks. It's on the backs of, uh, of tour guides, domestic workers,
Mm-hmm.
maid. It's on their backs. But we find that there is little or nothing given back to people who come in and support the tourism industry. We they're living just above the poverty level, and many live below the poverty level. We're not only going to do a six over $60 million impact, it's $120 million impact, because when you think about Visit Savannah and the chamber getting
Mm-hmm.
half of those dollars and the city getting the other half,
Right.
and none of it is slated to go to African American organizations. And so when you look at over $120 million generated annually, and nothing going to African Americans, I take that as an insult.
Yes.
And I call on our leaders to work with African American organizations to help them qualify to receive some of this money. But it fell on deaf it till it, till it but it fell on deaf ears. So when I look at the city and talking about this economic impact of hotel motel tax, there need to be some sort of system where every citizen in Chatham County benefits from it, especially those that directly work in the hotel motel industry. But we
Mm-hmm.
find out that those that work in the hotel motel industry, many of them work um, minimum wage, many work below a livable wage, and we're not doing anything to assess their needs when it comes to housing, when it
Right.
comes to affordable housing, when it comes to giving them grants so that they can become entrepreneurs, or helping them get better training to get a better job, or talking about raises for those domestic workers that work in our hotel industry. So I saw a lot of things wrong with how we was going about the hotel motel tax, but the big thing is no one wanted to come to the table to find out how we're going to include all backgrounds in receiving some of these benefits.
And and with that, as I stated earlier, you all probably would get raked over the coals because the media is owned by the establishment who likes to frame the narrative, and because this was a big part of their agenda, if you will. The narrative will not be as you just described it, right? It will simply be that the rebel rousers on council didn't support it, or a rogue delegation once again did not see fit for this to see the light of day. And then other uh, chatter will be consistent with, well, you can't really use that hotel motel tax for the purposes they are asking. But Dr. Jackson, you and I both know that there are a number of ways to move money around. And I see daily how people force things to fit within this administration. And while we cannot do anything by way of the Georgia state statute with minimum wage and the wages people earn within our hospitality industry, we do know that if this was an increase that was going to be that the hospitality industry was going to benefit from, having some type of an agreement or having a conversation of sorts. This is not a little bit of money we're talking about. And so why these conversations had to happen in silos, why there were these private backroom and backdoor meetings and not include the council that the people actually voted into office, that within itself, on its face, did not pass the smell test. So I'm pleased to stand by my decision, and I'm so grateful for your support. And we will miss you. We will miss you in this capacity for sure. And we just pray and hope that someone well suited for this position will take up the spirit of which you have served and continue to look for this type of equity as we go forth in serving the fine citizens of Savannah. And so in closing, I want to give you an opportunity to offer anything else as I invite my next guest on, Mr. John Moody, who we plan to talk to him today about entrepreneurship, his work as an artist, athlete, actor, and how people are thinking of and identifying ways to do business, create business, and make money outside of a traditional paycheck. And I don't know if that's a strategy you can incorporate within your labor commissioner work, but recognizing that there are multiple ways to earn a living, and it doesn't always have to be clocking hours on somebody's job. A lot of citizens are getting critique and pushback because folks are saying nobody wants to work. Well, I don't think that people don't want to work. I think people are just tired of working low-wage jobs, and a number of them outside and inside of COVID just found a better way to make money. They learned that they can make just as much money, if not more, doing what it is that they love.
Well, that's the role of the labor commissioner, not only to help people find jobs, but to encourage entrepreneurship. Find your niche in Georgia. And I want to be that labor commissioner where you could come in and we can assist you in finding your niche, and not just assist you in finding your niche, whether or not you want to be an entrepreneur or you want job training to get a good job. But my role will be to give you grants and financial opportunities so that you can invest back in yourself. Because we know when you invest in yourself, you become great taxpayer citizens. And that's who I am. As I've been a state senator for Chatham County for 14 years, I don't just have a title. I'm the voice of the people that sent me to Atlanta. So I don't go up to Atlanta to make friends or to make deals. My job is to be, Ms. Gibson called it, your voice when it comes to decisions. My job is to go back and listen to the people, listen to what they feel, like issues like hotel motel tax, issues like, as we're going to talk soon about Port Wentworth City Hall, to be your voice and to represent those whose voices are often stomped out. And that's what we be as your labor commissioner, to be the people's voice and take care of your needs first and government second. I'm Lester Jackson. Lester for Labor, Georgia's best move forward.
I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about it. Well, listen, thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. I'm glad we finally got that in. We finally got it in. And
finally got it in. Yeah. Y'all take care and have a good night. Thank you so much. For Labor. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. Have your team put your information in our chat. Listen,
I will do. Thank you.
We have our next guest coming up, Mr. John Moody himself, Mr. Artist, actor, athlete, entrepreneur, and everything extraordinary. I want to apologize to my audience ahead of time. Okay, we're not doing R-rated tonight, are we? Okay, come on in. Let's scoot in. Let's scoot in. I have a makeshift studio. You see, you got to fix me up something before you leave. Yes, I can't keep doing this, right?
What? Oh, the studio?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's a good studio. How y'all doing? Straight from the workout. Let me get you right, though. Okay, I see what you said.
You got me. So listen, John.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for pausing. Thank you for pausing and giving me some of your time. We appreciate you more for being a Black man that can, but mostly for your talent and your art, which serves as inspiration. Inspiration for all who love you, and inspiration for people who don't know you, but they find some hope in your work. And we know that in your art and your talent, it's essentially how you have decided to make a living. Have you ever even had a job outside of college? Did you just go straight to?
No, ma'am. Yes, I did have a job, Miss Kesha. I worked at Dick's and Planet Fitness for about a day.
One day.
One day. So I went into Dick's. It's a funny story. I went into Dick's and Planet Fitness.
Uh-huh.
I actually worked at Dick's for an hour. I worked at Planet Fitness for one day. I had them both in the same day. So I was going to go to Dick's and then Planet Fitness at the end. I just got out of college and got me 2 jobs. I'm like, I spent a lot of money at the sports store. I'm going to get a job there, and I love the gym. So I worked at both those places. And I went into Dick's. I was supposed to be there at 7 a.m., and I got there at 6:59, 6:55. I walk in Dick's, ready in the little Nike outfit I had. I looked around the store. I looked around for about 2 minutes, and it was just like, this is just not for me. It's just not for me. So then I went home. I talked to my family. I said, Dad, look, I walked in the store. Just fresh out of college. I'm like, look, this is just not for me. I know what I'm supposed to be. I know what my gift is. This is what I want to do. So then I was like, but I'll try Planet Fitness, the gym. And I went for one shift there, and the whole shift I couldn't wait to get off. So it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my calling. It doesn't mean it's for anyone else, but I worked a job for about a total of 6 hours, and that was it.
And that's it.
That's it.
And so through your talent, you somehow seem to have all that morph into income,
yes,
entrepreneurship.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And when I talk to you and I think about who you are and what you've done, I think the universe just lined up for you in some regard.
Yes.
It's something about putting good out and having good come back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
But it also has a lot to do with impeccable work ethic.
Yes.
And the desire for excellence.
Yes.
So tell us about your work ethic and what you deem as excellence.
Absolutely. So, when it comes to work ethic, Miss Kesha, and to everyone listening, for me, it is very important. It's become a level of routine and almost consistency that hasn't changed. So, I tell myself that every day I do a certain amount of things that I deem as an accomplishment for me. And that is something physical, something to challenge me mentally, something spiritually, and then something tailored to my craft. And so doing those list of things every single day have aligned me into my work ethic of, I've done, and this is what a lot of the people I look at as successful mentors, they tell me what works and what is the
and
goal.
Tell us, who are some of your mentors? Who have you had the privilege of working with?
Oh, cool.
I know the best one, your favorite one, but go ahead.
Yes, okay. Well, let's talk about my favorite, Miss Kesha's husband, Coach Carter, is one of my mentors who we fell in love with each other. Pause. We fell in love with each other in college. When Coach Carter saw me, he saw my potential. And since then, he's been a mentor in my life who I've talked to almost every single day. But some of my mentors include Shamar Moore, who is a talented actor, Tyler Perry, who is a director and a movie actor himself. A few other people local to my city who I look at as mentors and people who I've done work for, who range from like Diddy to Lil Wayne to people like that. So I've done projects with them along the lines, but I've also watched the things that they've done and taken their paths to success as mentorship. So a few different mentors for me, but every path is different, and I think that my path is unique to me because I'm in a craft that is. When you think of art and when you think of the arts, you don't really think of a lot of people can't name a Black artist that's a painter. So I'm in a unique place by myself.
And so that ritual, those boxes that you check in
Yes,
terms of making sure that everything is lined up. Let's go through those again. You make sure you're spiritual, was it?
Yes. So spiritually, in the morning and night, I try to remain always that I talk to God at some point. Physically, I start my day off with a workout. Mentally, I'm reading on my craft and what I can do to be better. And then actually my craft painting every single day or drawing, something that's doing my craft to get better.
And it's been interesting to watch you and watch you grow and develop, because I've seen where you started and some of your early
Splash
work.
painting.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes, yes. That's still my favorite.
Oh.
So I'm you know, the whole ambidextrous thing you're doing now is, you know, I'm trying to get used to it all, but I still have some appreciation for it.
Right.
So we had a conversation today, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, just to kind of tie into the work that I do on city council, and as I seek higher office here in Savannah to help people. Nothing is more pressing for me right now than the plight of the number of African American men and boys we have down on the streets of Savannah. And we had a conversation earlier today, and you said something related to why you think Black men who are killing each other don't value their lives. Right. And it had something to do with music, and then you had some other things to say. I want you to share that with me.
Well, I think for me, you know, in my growth path, I do have to account that one of my biggest changes in my life and in my success was when I realized ultimately who I was as a Black man. And that went as far as deep as to knowing things that I wasn't taught in school, realizing where my heritage comes from, what's important to me, struggles, information that I didn't know about myself as an African American man. And so when I went on that deep path of knowing self as a Black man, I realized that the shift in where I was going in life drastically changed. And for me, I realized also that music has such an influence in my generation and all generations, because it's something we listen to and we truly believe. And in reference to the conversation we had earlier, Ms. Kesha, I you know, even for me, even when I'm low on motivation or low on creative juices, I choose music to help me find what's going to re-inspire me. And just the right song can put me in a mood of, I want to talk about this story. And I think today is just that music plays or hip hop in general plays a huge part, not only in African American culture, but in the world. And whatever hip hop artists do, I think it's such an influential thing that everybody does it. Whereas, for example, if every hip hop rap artist, woman and female, said we're going to wear Pumas for the next year, everyone's wearing Pumas, from Asians to Caucasians to Black kids to everyone. And so in our music today, when we talk so much about going straight to devaluing lives as far as killing somebody and this and this, and we hear consistently, it is such a belief in our minds. And I truly believe that if most hip hop artists, if every artist hip hop were to say, or music artists were to say, we don't even touch guns anymore, we talk it out, or we just talk, you would see a drastic change in how people think. They would say, man, we don't do it anymore. It's not cool anymore.
Wow.
And I deem that to be a very powerful influence on the masses.
Just that simple. And I know a lot of our music is also highly sexualized. And I, as a parent, when I'm in the car with my kids, I try to keep some of that in check. Right. And so I'm just thinking about what you're saying, and how can parents engage with their young people, and how they can start controlling, because we can't, because of free speech. Of course, people have the right to make whatever music they want.
Absolutely.
But we have to think of ways that we can counter that. So
yes. Can I say something to
yes.
that? And I think one of the best ways of counteracting that is just like there's free speech. I think we also have to be able to have free speech with our children and with our younger generations. For instance, I think conversation sometimes is very hard. I grew up, there's certain things I just didn't tell my parents. And not because I didn't want to, but more because I felt like there was a barrier. This is the type of conversation you don't have with your parents. Whereas I would have those types of conversations with my mentors that gave me great guidance, that now when I'm approaching those situations, or in those situations, I know what to do and how to carry myself. And I think a lot of times those conversations, when we hear those things, it's just so, I don't want to say awkward, it's so unapproachable in talking to, and the environment doesn't feel like I can say this to my parents or to someone of a different generation. Right. And so that bridges where, in realization, even in art is just a conversation. What I do with my art is I make conversations, I make you think, right? And so even when I did The Boy in the White House, there's blood coming down his face, it's so cringy and it's so sad, but I make you have a conversation about it. And even with just the start of conversation, we're able to address the feelings, we're able to address the thoughts, we're able to understand that it's okay to feel this way. Let's talk about why you feel this way. And then you can understand, well, maybe I need to have a different viewpoint because someone else's life does matter or doesn't or should matter to me in a different way. So I think conversation is when I think of parents, I think there's this small barrier that's can I talk to mom about this? I can't say this to mom because I can't say this to dad but I think when we can just say, hey, look, I want to talk to you about this. It's already in your ears every day. I want to talk to you about it. Tell me how you feel about it. I think we get to a point where they really learn something. And I think it makes such a relationship grow in that way. And so that's just what I do in art. I make you have the awkward conversations, the things you don't want to talk. I make you talk about it with me. And after that conversation, you realize that, well, like I'm just, you should feel better afterwards.
And that's amazing. It never ceases to amaze me how it doesn't matter how comfortable you are in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a girlfriend relationship, guy friend relationship, or a colleague, student, professor relationship. It never amazes me, despite how much you may know that person and how long, it's still really hard to have those big conversations.
Yes.
And so having something like art to foster a way for us to have those conversations is awesome. Now, I did want to close with this whole notion of entrepreneurship, because you have found a way not only to survive during COVID as an artist, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, think mostly artists are broke and starving. The starving artists, right? And we know that we have a lot of young people out there who aspire to be artists. I think I have one. Lord, build a fence all around me. And and as parents, we have a tendency to want the doctors and the lawyers and want our kids to matriculate at mainstream universities and get those enter into those professions that we are familiar with. But your parents were able to cultivate what it is, what you found as your love. And in them cultivating that, I think that allowed you to grow. And so during COVID, grow and develop more. It's a lot to be said to have the freedom and flexibility, and not to have the worry and the stress of what somebody think about you, especially your parents. And so with that said, not only have you survived during COVID, but you have thrived. And I introduced you as an artist, an athlete, an actor, and an entrepreneur. Tell me how you've used your talent to sort of morph into it really generating a good life for yourself. And what would you say to those artists out there who aspire to be where you are?
Well, I think that the biggest thing first of all, as being an artist, you're correct, Miss Kesha, is that my parents started off encouraging my artwork. I never felt like it was something I could not do. It was always, I'm drawing, hey, here's more paper. Or you ran out of utensils, here's more colors. It was never, oh, you can't do this. So I never had one feeling in my entire life that I just couldn't be an artist. I'm the artist. So that was a strong foundation. But I realized is that in being an artist, there's art in every single thing in the world. And that goes from the person who draws and designs the chairs to who designs the car that you drive in, or to the glasses you wear that has to be drawn and created, or to the shirt that you have on right now, to the table you're sitting at, the chair, even the computer. Every art is in every single thing in the world. So as an artist, you have an opportunity to always be creating and always be in job in what you do. But I think what's really been the point in which I'm able to continue to grow financially as an artist and financially as a young man, as an entrepreneur, is that I create things of value. And I realize that when you have value, people will pay for you. When you answer problems, when you can really address tough issues and bring answers to those things, that's what people pay for. We pay for problem management, right? So there's the boss. The boss gets paid to manage these people. The regional manager gets paid, a general manager gets paid to manage the boss. He gets paid more. The regional manager gets paid more to manage the general manager and the boss. And the CEO gets paid more to manage all these guys. So you get paid based off your problem management and what you can do, what's your value, what can you answer. And again, I'll translate that into my art as, what is my art doing to answer questions that our world faces? And that's been my secret, or what I feel is the way that I keep escalating forward.
Well, we're looking forward to what inspires you next. It's always good to see you're like the artist of Law and Order. He takes real life scenarios and creates it in real time. And so I want to thank you for stopping by. Well, you're just in the other room over there. To say hello. And we're just happy you were able to grace us with your presence here in Savannah.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're looking forward to your next visit.
Yes, ma'am.
So listen, put the guns down, have the tough conversations.
Yes.
And encourage your children who may have artistic talent. You all have been great tonight. I can't see anything because I'm doing my show from my phone, but arresting people for a habit is also causing crime wave. Yes, we do know that if people get a drug charge, they can't get a job after they've paid their debt to society. They do what anyone would do to feed themselves, turn to making illegal money. Our government creates criminals. And who is that? That is from Joe. Joe, you are absolutely right. I often say that a lot of the criminal element we have here in Savannah is created in large part due to failed opportunity to enact policies and establish those programs where we're helping our vulnerable communities so that we are backdooring our way into averting crime and gun violence in our communities. We have a lot of work to do, Savannah. But we're up for the challenge, and we want to continue to ask the tough questions, do the big work, and just to let you know that the good news is the bad news was wrong. Your girl is still here, and I'm still running for mayor 2023, and don't you forget it. Y'all have a good night.